The enthusiasm for sports is often fueled by the presence of great champions. If champions are by definition very rare, even rarer are the cases of champions whose results defy the laws of probability and statistics. When two such champions meet at the same time and even in the same competition, then there is no doubt that we are in the presence of an almost unique phenomenon. This is a case of the two Chinese divers Chen Yuxi and Quan Hongchan, whose performances, as we will see, are absolutely exceptional even compared to other sports sectors. Not only have they regularly won all the competitions in which they have participated, occupying first and second place in all cases, but they have obtained record scores, marking impressive gaps from the third place. In diving, the score is determined by a panel of 7 judges, each of whom assigns a score between 0 and 10. The 2 highest and 2 lowest scores are excluded, and the 3 remaining scores are added together and multiplied by a coefficient that takes into account the difficulty of the dive performed. The following figures show the distributions of judges' scores for the World Diving Championships from 2022 to 2024. As can be seen, the shape of these distributions is very similar, with a long tail to the left toward the lower scores and a shorter tail towards the higher scores. However, when we consider the women's platform, something strange appears. A second peak is clearly visible on the far right, corresponding to the highest scores. This peak is entirely due to the scores of 2 Chinese athletes, Chen Yuxi and Quan Hongchan. While the average value of all the other divers is around 6, for the 2 Chinese divers the average is 8.9, not far from the impossible average of 10. The gap increases if we obviously consider the total scores. In this case, it is easy to see how the 2 distributions are completely separate. In other words, the lowest score obtained by the 2 is still better than the highest obtained by any other female diver in the rest of the world. The average value in this case is 424, to be compared with 310 for the other female divers. The average of the male platformers is slightly higher, 445, but it is obtained with 1 more dive. We can call this anomalous phenomenon as Chen-Quan effect. It is possible to visualize the differences in scores in a simple way, comparing them as in the track and field 100 meters. To do this, it is sufficient to scale all the scores so that the highest is 100, and then put the subsequent ones in order of ranking. As can be seen, the first 2 points are clearly detached from all the others. The situation is very different in the case of other competitions, such as, for example, the men's and women's springboard or the men's platform. In all those cases, it is possible to identify a sort of continuous line that joins all the points. Using the same criteria, it is also possible to make comparison with other sports, for example, the 100m in athletics. In this case, it is sufficient to report the positions of the various runners at the moment in which the first one crosses the finish line. As can be seen, also in this case there is a continuous line that joins the various points. The same situation is found, for example, in figure skating. Here, too, it is possible to construct a similar graph, scaling the highest score to the value of 100 and placing the subsequent ones in decreasing order. This gap can be quantified in the following way. Let's draw the straight line obtained by considering all the points except the first 2, and then let's measure the difference in impact with respect to the first point. We can then display the distribution of these distances for the various races considered. Despite the low statistics, the distributions for the female platform are significantly different from all the others, with an average distance of about 18. All the characteristics observed so far are obviously also found in the results relating to the synchronized dives. Also in that case, of course, the Chen-Quan couple excels in every possible competition, with enormous differences in scores from the second-place teams. Let's report now some records achieved by the two Chinese divers in international competitions. Chen Yuxi, total score 457.85, realized in Fukuoka in 2023. Single dive score 99.00, gap from third place 151.15, realized in Berlin in 2022. Quan Hongchan, total score 466.20, realized in Tokyo in 2021. Single dive score 99.00, gap from third place 100.4, realized in Montreal in 2023. Considering the young age of the two athletes, it is likely that new records will be broken in the future.